Advaitam Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Vande Nityananda Sahoditam Shri Nanda Vande Shri Radhika Charanadvayam Avijan Smayuktam Vrindavana Manoharam Shri Gauranga Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Yara Shri Vaishnava Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. So we're reading from Vilapa Kusumanjali, Radhik Mas 2023, and we've been discussing the experience, the emotional. Emotional experiences.
Yes.
We're discussing the emotional experiences of the Manjaris with interacting with Radharani, and it's because this Leela of Krishna, this Nara Leela, is very much like exactly like human life. In human life, if you love someone, then anything that person does, any type of attention you get from someone who loves you, you enjoy it, you like it. They say the worst form of emotional torture is to ignore someone, to not speak to someone or to ignore them. But in this Leelas of Radha and Krishna and the Manjaris, we're hearing so much how the Manjaris are interacting with Radharani, and she's one minute, one verse you read, the Manjari's getting rewarded with an embrace and a kiss, and Radharani transfers her tumble into the mouth of her Manjari, Tulsi Manjari. And then the next verse we read 95. Radharani chastises the same Manjari and throws her out of the kunj. And she goes outside, and one verse of Manjari is jumping for joy and all smiles and happiness and telling all the Manjaris about a good fortune she has received from Radharani and such great reward. Then the next minute she's outside the kunj with her head in her hands and her back against the wall of the kunja, and she's crying her eyes out and covered her head with her veil, doesn't want anybody to see her. And she's in the depths of depression and agony, being rejected and thrown out of the kunja and away from service to Radharani. So then Lita takes pity on her and brings her back into the kunj and orders Radharani to accept the Manjari again. And the Manjari is now happy again. So that's what we heard yesterday about that experience. So now the book is winding up now. This is verse 96. There's only 104 verses, I think. 104 verses. This is 96. The theme of this verse is the Sharanagati of Manjari. What is the surrendered mood, the mood of surrender of Radharani's Manjaris? And this is, Raghunatha said, this is the theme song for every Raghunath Sadhaka Manjari. But as I mentioned to you, when I asked this to my Guru team, it's a well-known story I told many times. You must be knowing it. I said, is this a good prayer to when I go to Radha Govinda Mandir or Radha Govinath Mandir? So this is a good prayer to pray to Radharani. Tave vasmi, najivami trayavina, yadi vigaya devi chonaya mantranatikam. He said, you can't say this. You have the adhikar to say this. You're living very nicely without Radharani. Are you rolling on the banks of Shamakund and gasping your last breath of air and just living on some water? You gave up buttermilk 6 months ago. Now you're just living on water and air. And you're crying in desperation. It's the end of your life. and you can't live without Radharani, you're a joker, you're a faker. This is a prayer of a prema bhakta in the depth of Vipralambha, the depth of separation. I said, well, it's a nice prayer. He says, it's a nice prayer, but you can worship this prayer and memorize this prayer, but it's not for you to say every day. So I said, I'll try to follow that. I'm sorry, I like it too much. He wasn't relenting, he was pretty staunch. Because he always insisted, don't jump higher than your feet will work. You know, when I jump to the moon, you can't even jump 5 feet off the ground. So the verse is 96. Tavevasmi, na jivami charabina, iti vigaya devi tram, nayaman chantikam. The Manjari prays in desperation at the very last straw, the last breath, the last bit of prawn left in her body, her fragile, tender body, about to die. This prayer, Vilapa Kusumanjali, was written at the end of Raghunatha Das's Bhajan life, his Prakat Bhajan life in this world. And this is the last prayer of the book, practically. So he's saying, he's not mentioning any leelas, he's not mentioning any sweet leelas, or having any sweet sporties. He's just crying out in Sharanagati Bhav, total surrender, crying out in Ashabandha, hope against hope, and crying out for mercy. Please, please help me, please help me. He said, Radharani, in case you don't know by now, I'm yours, I'm yours. I can't live without you. Najivami Traya Vina. Vina Traya. Without you, I can't live. We can't live if we don't have our granola, our protein drink, and our Kumari Asava, and whatever we live on. Our Chyawanprash, our sprouts. I can't live without my alfalfa sprouts. So to live without Radharani, most everyone's living quite nicely without Radharani, but not for Das Goswami, not for a real follower of Das Goswami. So he's saying, I can't live without you, so please take me to your lotus feet, because your lotus feet are my life. Lotus feet means the service of your lotus feet. So this verse doesn't have any leelas. It's all full of pathos and agony and different points of bhajan and different conceptions and moods and feelings that have to go into our heart and into our mind and expressed in our bhajan and a very nice breath to attain perfection in bhakti bhajan. So we'll go through those points that Radharani Das is highlighting in his commentary on verse 96 of Vilapa Kusumanjali. The first point he makes is that surrender, Sharanagati, is bhajan. In all the verses of Vilapa Kusumanjali, Das Goswami is seeing his own Siddhadeha as Sosi Manjari and transcendently being blessed with the seva of Radha Madhav's Nitya Leela. But when these visions and sporties vanish, Das Goswami greatly laments and prays to Swami's lotus feet to attain these aspired for, desired for sevas. In the final 9 verses, from 96 to 104, these final verses, Das Goswami is only offering prayers. So 10% of the book is prayers. 90% of the book is meditation on Leelas, having Swartis, and the last 9 verses, which is approximately 10%, he's offering prayers to Radharani's lotus feet. He's offering prayers to Radharani's lotus feet, he's offering prayers to Radha, he's offering prayers to Govinda Sri Krishna, and he's offering prayers to Vishaka Saki for the fulfillment of his desire. He doesn't offer any prayers to Lalita. Because he's in the Saki Gan of Vishaka and he's quite attached to that. Interesting idea. So in this verse, Das Goswami, in separation mood, virahi, takes shelter and surrenders himself. This is the starting point of sadhana bhakti. Because it says Guru Pada Ashraya. Ashraya means taking shelter, surrendering to Guru. That's the first limb of bhakti, and Bhakti Rosmita Sindhu, and the 64 limbs is taking shelter of Guru. Taking shelter of Guru means taking shelter of service of Guru. Doesn't mean now, okay, I got initiated, now I lay back and do nothing. Getting initiated means beginning a life of service. Hari Guru Vaishnava Seva. So that depends on surrender. So you may officially or mentally surrender and take diksha, but until you start doing service, there's no proof that you surrendered. It's just words and no substance behind it. Sharanagati means taking complete shelter of taking complete shelter, surrendering to oneself. Oneself means one's Atma. Atma means body, Atma means mind, Atma means words, Atma means your very everything. That's what we are as Atma. This is the starting point of bhajan, sadhana bhakti. I would like to say it's the starting point, it's the middle point, it's the end point. It's every point, every step of the way is surrender. When you stop surrendering in bhakti, you stop advancing. Just like any great teacher, there's always, any person who's a teacher, who's acting like a teacher, he's always studying. You read about the habits of millionaires in the world. One of the most universal habits of all of them is they read one book a day. I don't know what about. They read a book every day. One book. How many books do we read every day? How many parts of books do we read every day? So I guess we're not millionaires. We don't want to be, but we want to have a lot of bhakti and pure devotion. So I know many gurus in Gaudiya Sampradaya. They're very advanced and very learned, and they're still studying and still attending classes and learning from other teachers. They themselves are giving classes, and they finish giving their class, and they run off to a class themselves. Like I was listening to Radharani the other night. He said, I just came from my class. He was like 1 minute late or something, hardly. And then he packed up his books really fast. He said, I have to go to class. He had a class before his class and after his class. He has like 5 degrees already. And, so this is a great example. Always be a student and always be a teacher. Share whatever you learn and keep learning more and sharing more. This is progressive bhakti. Don't stagnate, don't get stale, don't get rusty, don't get stagnant. Running water never gets stagnant. So keep the water of bhakti, keep the river, the bhakti dhara. Dhara means current. Keep the bhakti dhara flowing and fresh, with waves of joy and waves of ecstasy. The more one surrenders, the more one advances. The more one advances, the more one's heart is filled with feelings of surrender. So wherever you go, you get back to surrender. Surrender is the practice. Surrender is the goal.
Surrender is the means.
He doesn't say, but surrender is the means. It's a very life force. Sharanagati and Seva, this is what Bhakti is made of. Surrender and serve, surrender and serve. No submission, no permission. No permission, no admission. It's a perpetual duty of a bhakta to surrender. Sometimes you ask questions, will this surrender stuff ever end? And one of the common phrases in the Temple Commander in Los Angeles, 1975, when we were new devotees and not too surrendered, he would say, "Hey, surrender, Prabhu." He called me master, but I had to become slave. He said, you're my master, now become a slave. I said, I'm the master, man, you do it. Prabhu, go cut the sabji, surrender. Bhakti means surrender. I said, yeah, Bhakti. This means surrender. Surrender your nose to my hand. Can you surrender your nose to this? Well, we felt like that sometimes, but we didn't do it. Some did, but. That's why usually the Temple Commander was really big. Might is right. So Das Goswami, he taught the highest stage, the highest example of surrender. This Tulsi is yours, Radharani, yours. Without you, I can't survive. I won't survive. This is the limit of surrender. This is the anxious self-surrender of Radhika's maid servants, filled with feelings of mindness. Cannot be found in dasi rati for Bhagavan. This Tulsi is yours. This quotation is very sweet Mahavani, great words. It's filled with the experience of bhajan ras. What that means is, when one does enough bhakti bhajan, his bhajan starts to produce ras, some flavor. The first experience of ras comes at the level of ruchi. After Nishtha, one comes to Ruchi. And then more ras comes at a Sakti. And then at Bhava, one experiences really the purest form of ras, which gets thicker and sweeter at the level of Prema. So when one is feeling bhajan ras and tasting bhajan ras at the level of Bhav, then he can feel this mamata bhav, that I'm yours, you're mine, I'm yours. And this is the sweet surrender of Tulsi Manjari Das Goswami. Just as bees become attracted to lotus flowers at sunrise, the mind of a sadhaka becomes attracted to Radhika's lotus feet after hearing these fragrant honey-like words. Honey-like words. So our mind's like a bee, and the words of Das Goswami are like honey. So bees love honey. So sadhakas love the words, the sweet words, the Madhuravani, Sadhavani of Das Goswami. When we read a phrase or sloka like this, we can't say it. We don't have this bhav. We don't have this mamata bhav. We don't have this conviction. We don't have this anubhav, this experience. But we can understand our fallen condition we compare ourselves to Das Goswami and say, you're there and I'm here. There's a big difference between you and me. But I pray to you to give me some kripa. Mahajna Yenik, Lesha Anagrahita. There's a verse from Bhagavatam, Lesha Anagrahita. If the sorrow just gives a Lesha Anagrahita, Anugraha, just a drop of its mercy, I can understand this prema of Radha and Krishna. So that's what we pray to Das Goswami for, a drop of Lesha Anagrahita, a drop of its mercy. Please bless me that someday I can say from my heart, not from my mouth. I can say from my anubhav, from my own bhajan, taste of bhajan ras, my own anubhav, my own conviction, from my own experience of Radharani, where I have so much mamata bhav that I feel I can't breathe another breath, I can't drink another drop of water, I can't pass another minute if Radharani doesn't show herself to me. I can't live without seeing Radharani. I can't live without experiencing Radharani. So therefore, I can't say what you're saying, but I beg you, because you're a Kripambudi, Vaishnava Kripambudi, Vaishnavas are oceans of mercy. So I'm praying to you, please bless me with a drop of this honey sweet realization that's coming from your mouth in this verse 96. So the bee-like minds of the devotees become attracted to Radharani's lotus feet by hearing these honey sweet words of Das Goswami. Tulsi offers lotus flowers sprinkled with the spiritual flavor of love at Radharani's feet. So the second point that becomes inspired by this verse, which this verse is conveying, because this verse is not the result of a sporty. This verse is coming not in sadhaka, not coming in siddha srupa vesh. He's not speaking, Das Goswami is not speaking this verse from absorption in his siddha deha as Tulsi Manjari, having sporty vision of Leela. He's speaking this verse in sadhaka vesh, absorbed in his external form as Das Goswami. And now he's feeling separation, viraha. Viraha, raha means live, and vi means without living, without being, living with. So feeling separation from Radharani, he's crying out this verse. He's not speaking this verse, he's not writing this verse, he's crying this verse from the deepest corner of his broken heart. So, to accent and highlight these feelings of vipralambha bhav, separation from Radharani, which is the life and soul of a Raghunatha sadhaka. There's one phrase in all the writings of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, all the hundreds of thousands of lectures and thousands of letters and hundreds of books he wrote. There's one phrase you can search on folio. It says Vipralambha Seva. Prabhupada mentions the concept of Vipralambha Seva, serving Radharani and Krishna in separation. So this feelings of separation from Radharani is being explained here by Natas Babaji quotes, I don't know what, maybe it's Chaitanya Charitamrita, it could be. Piriti Rasite Dali Tanaman Diachi Tuhari Pai. Tumi Morapati, Tumi Moragati, Prananaya Chai. O Radharani, I have given you my body, my mind, soaked in the ras of Priti Ras. I have given it to your lotus feet. You are my master, my Morapati and Moragati. Tumi Morapati, you are my master. Pati means master, Lord also means husband. But the word Pati also means, we say Jagat Pati, doesn't mean the husband of the universe, it means the Lord of the universe, master. Moragati, Gati means my goal. So you are my master and you are my goal. Pran Naichai. My Pran doesn't want anyone else but you. My Pran. That's a shloka. How much the eternally perfect maidservants suffer when they're feeling separation from Radhika as sadhakas. The sadhakas cannot live for a moment without Radharani. As the sadhakas do bhajan, they attract the eyes of all sadhakas of this world with their painful eagerness to do bhajan. Through their activities, the advanced sadhakas have shown how to awaken a feeling of want by doing bhajan. He says, here's the opposite idea. If we're doing proper bhajan, we should feel separation from Radha and Krishna, and want to meet them, want to see them, want to be with them, want to get some reciprocation. But someone who's not doing proper bhajan, but appears to be doing bhajan, will think, I'm doing bhajan because it makes me happy. But even in my dreams, I don't miss Radharani. However, Raghunatha Das is quite different than this. With his mind and heart, he's speaking to Radharani now. Radharani, with my mind and heart, I'm telling you, I am yours. I'm touching your feet, and I swear to you that I'm yours. I can't live without you. Deprived of your service, I have fallen on the collapse on the bank of Radhakund. I tell you honestly, I can't live anymore. This is all commentary of Raghunatha Das Babaji Maharaj, quite deep. Sri Raghunath can no longer tolerate the pangs of separation from Swami. Actually, when I first read this commentary, and I don't know whenever it came out, 89 or something, I don't know, when it first came out, first edition, 89 or so. I got this book very early on from Raghunatha Das, a Xerox copy. When I first read this last verse, I felt it was autobiography, this commentary of Raghunatha Das Babaji. He was speaking of himself through the mouth of Raghunatha, glorifying Raghunatha Das. Because Raghunatha Das Babaji is sitting on the same seat that Raghunatha Das sat on. It's called, the seat of the Mahanta Radharani is called Raghunatha Das Goswami Gadi. Gadi means asan. Gadi. So whoever the Mahanta of the Babajis, whoever in charge of Radharani and the workings of all the Mandirs and Babajis and behavior and philosophy and sadhana and looking after the spiritual life of everyone here, he's the head of Radharani. He's called the Babaji Panchayat. And he's called the Raghunatha Das Gadi Mahant. He's the Mahant, in charge of all Radharani. So because he's sitting on the asan of Raghunatha Das Goswami, the asan has the power of the person who established it. person who established the asana was Raghunatha Das Goswami. The second person that sat in this asana was Jiva Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami. He became the second in charge of Radha. And then it comes down throughout the last 500 years to Anantadas Babaji. Now it's Sripad Puja Keshav Dasji Maharaj is the Raghunath Das Gadi Mahanta Radha. He's a disciple of Anantadas. So that's why we say Vyasa-san. The asan of the speaker of the Bhagavatam is called Vyasa-san. Because Vyasa sat on asan and spoke to his son Sukadeva and spoke to so many different great saints and saintly people. So when someone sits on the Vyasa-san, they're supposed to represent Vyasadeva, and they're empowered by Vyasadeva to speak Hari Katha, the Ram Katha, Vishnu Katha, speak the glories of Bhagavan. So the seed has power. It's called Vastu Shakti. So that's why when you read these commentaries of Anantadas, you feel that he's one with Das Goswami. Because on one level, even externally, he's representing Das Goswami, but from his heart, his own bhajan pravritti, his experience in bhajan, and his advancement, he's representing Raghunath Das Goswami. That's why his books are studied and cherished all around the world. In Hindi, Bengali, Russian, Chinese, Italian, Swahili, Zambian, Nigerian, every language you can imagine. There's acharyas in different paramparas. Nidana Parivar, Advaita Parivar, other Parivars, even Gaudiya Matha acharyas. When I was before in ISKCON, or Sora ISKCON, I used to go to Mathura and attend classes with a group of devotees with Narayan Maharaj. And he would tell Naveen Krishna, who is now Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, sannyasi, he would tell him, get that red book off my bookshelf, or his book cabinet. He'd get the red book out, big red book in Bengali. And we say, what's that book? This Vilapa Kusumanjali with the commentaries of Anantadas Babaji. And he would read it, give class on it, and take all the good stuff in from the book and publish it in his own book. Yeah, this is the way it goes on. You take good wherever you find it. Big bars, steal, take the good stuff. This is the age of sharing. That was before sharing was a concept. This was 1989, 88, 89, long ago. But there's a lot of good stuff in there, that's for sure. So I'm just making a point that everybody studies. And there's another person, you know, there's a descendant of Nityananda called famous personality, Prem Gopal Goswami. He regularly gives classes from Anantadas' books, like Vilapa Kusumanjali, Stavavali, Manashiksha, etc. So they're great books, he's a great acharya. So he's talking more about these feelings of separation in bhajan. So Das Goswami can't tolerate any longer the pain of separation from Radharani. The poison of love and separation has reached his throat. His body, mind, and life hairs are burning in the fire of separation. The Goswamis are embodiments of love and separation. What's that famous verse by Srinivasa Acharya describes the mode of separation? Goswami Astakam. Hey Radhe Brajadevi Te Chalalite Hey Nanda Suna Kirta Shri Govardhana Kalpavatale Kalindi Vani Kuta Goshanta Viti Sarata Vajapure Kedar Mahavivala Vande Rupa Sanatana Rupa Sujit Gopal. So they're the embodiments of separation, love and separation. And Das Goswami is the best example. And he quotes a verse, not saying where it's from. Das Goswami kata kohane najai nirantara dagda hiya vira yataya. Das Goswami is indescribable. His heart is always burning the fire of separation. Oh, I think this is from his Shucha Kirtan. Shucha Kirtan is sung in the Tirobhav, the disappearance day of Great Vaishnava. It's called Shucha Kirtan. In the back of my Samadhi's book, Great Vaishnava Samadhi, I have Shucha Kirtan. Oh, hard enough to do. His heart always burns in the fire of separation. Day and night, this great priest, that's interesting, this great priest of the Raghunatha Yajna weeps with tear-filled eyes on the bank of Radharani without eating or sleeping, torn apart by the pangs of great love and separation. His heart is so anxious to attain Radha's intimate seva. Forgetting everything else, he simply desires the eligibility to serve Radha's feet, nothing else. How much hope he carries in his heart. While taking full shelter of Priyaji's dearmost place, Radharani. How much hope? So it's called Ashabandha. Hope against hope. I hope to attain the service of Radharani. I hope to have Radharani's darshan. So where can I go and pray for this fulfillment of my Ashabandha? Where's the best place to be to get this Ashabandha fulfilled? Radhakund. It's Radhakund and Vrajriti Chintamani. Who wrote Vrajriti Chintamani? I think Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He said this Radhakund is because one word for water is Sara. Sara means water. So he said this Radhakund is not a Radha Sara, it's not a lake of Radha, it's Radha Rasa. Sara becomes Rasa. He reverses the syllables. The Sara means with water or whatever. So he said it's rasa. It's not made of water, it's made of ras. And he said, I believe some people describe the appearance of Radhakund, but I have a different idea. I say Krishna came here one day to Radha Sara, and he was missing Radharani. Radharani wasn't coming. And so Krishna was in separation. He started crying. And all his tears ran out and made a Sara, Sham Sara. And then Radharani came and saw Krishna crying in separation from her, and she appreciated how much separation. Can you turn my fan off? He appreciated how much separation Krishna was expressing for Radharani. So then Radharani started crying, and she made Radha Sara. But so that it became Radha Sara and Sham Sara, Lake of Sham and Lake of Radha. But Vishnu Chakravarti and Brajriti Chintamani says, these are not lakes of Sara, these are lakes of Ras. One lake is full of Sham Ras, and one lake is full of Radha Ras. So you put it together, you have Radha Ras to the I said that. But he said it's not Sara, it's Rasa. So the best place to do bhajan, to cry in separation from Radharani, He's on the banks of Radha Ras. This is a bank full of Radha Ras and Shamras. So he goes on here. So this is Priyaji's dearmost place. Priyaji's Priyatam Leelastan, Radhakund. How many days, how many months, how many years have passed, but still the darshan and seva, I have not attained the darshan and seva of my Praneshwari. What is the use of keeping my pran? I'm burning in a forest fire of separation. Na jivavi travina. I cannot live without you. That's a powerful commentary on the point of feeling separation from Radharani. So now he makes a point. One can ask the question, where have all these intense feelings of separation come from? Where does Goswami get all these intense feelings of separation from Radharani? He got these feelings from somebody who showed equally feelings of separation, even more separation, not from Radharani but from Krishna. Who is that?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his Antya-lila, he showed intense separation from Krishna and the Mahabhava Radharani. So he was, Das Goswami for 16 years was a direct witness of all Lord Chaitanya's mood of Radharani and separation from Krishna. So he had a good Vipralambha Bhav teacher. If someone wants to learn Vipralambha Bhav, they should associate with someone who's in Vipralambha Bhav, who's feeling separation from Radha and Krishna. So Das Goswami, unlike any other Goswami, he associated 16 years with the greatest teacher of Vipralambha Bhav, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why in his writings of Das Goswami, not Rupa Goswami, not Sanatana Goswami, not Jiva Goswami, you find the highest intensity of separation from Radharani. Because this is the main lesson he learned. Because what did he see? He saw someone for 16 years, every day, every hour, every second, every minute, was crying and tearing his heart out in separation from Krishna. So you take on the qualities of your association. The heart is like a crystal. It doesn't have any color. There's no styrati, there's no color. It's not colored. Raga means a color. The word rag means attachment. It means love, it means passion. It also means color. So you associate with someone who has color in their heart, then your heart will become colored by their heart. So that's why we associate with devotees to take on the color of their devotion, take on their rag, take on their attachment. So that's why you reflect the color you're nearby. You put a crystal on this table and you put this green bar near it. The crystal, and the facets of the crystal, it will look green. So you keep your heart near the sadhu who has Vipralambha Bhav and has attachment to Radha and Krishna. Then your heart will, the facets of your heart, crystal heart, will take on that quality of rag and attachment. Automatically, without doing it. The crystal doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to stand on its head. It doesn't have to stay up all night in Ekadasi. It doesn't have to fast. It just has to stay near. Without stepping on the color. Don't step on the guy next to you. Sit near her or him, but don't step on them and don't talk bad about them to somebody else. And just be nice, be peaceful, be passive, be non-offensive, and absorb. And pretty soon You turn light green, then dark green, then fully green. You become what you associate with, whom you associate with. You associate with dacoits, you become a dacoit. You associate with greedy people, you become greedy. Hey Govinda. Hey Radhe, Brother David. So, Lord Chaitanya's mood of separation entered Raghunatha Das Goswami's heart. Lord Chaitanya only gave him a couple teachings. What do you say?
Bhalana kaivar,
Are you following that? Chaka. Whoa. Hum Brahman. Paintball Anandi, watching Radha Govinda. Bhalana kaiva, don't eat opulent foods. And what about
Don't wear good clothes, Bhalana.
Bhalana
Bhalana padi means don't wear good
Parive, don't dress in fancy silks.
Gramya vartana sunibe. Gramya vartana kahibe.
Don't talk newspapers and don't read newspapers. Gramya Katha Nashunive, Gramya Katha Nakaive. Don't speak it and don't read it. No Z News. No NDTV. Latest news. Latest news is tomorrow you're going to die. What are you doing about it? What? I didn't hear that news. Well, it happens. There's breaking news on your head. Break your head, goodbye. That's the only news to remember. Each day maybe be my last. Like the Karmis live like that. Live it to the full. Live it to the hilt. Eat, drink, and be merry. So the devotee should think, what if today is my last day? How will I spend my last day on the planet? If you live like that every day, how much advancement you'll make. It's like walking around with your head on a guillotine. Your head's like this. There's a blade above your head. You say, Namaste, Narasingha. Hey Radhe versus ABK. Radhe, Jew. So that's what it's like. We have our head in a guillotine. And there's a razor sharp blade 2 meters above our head, about to fall. Chew. Finished. El finito. Something like that. How do you say it's over? What? Chucho finito? That's pretty cool. Like chucho Sanskrit. Chucho, it's all over, isn't it? Tuto. Tutto finito. She knows about 5 languages. Swiss, they know. The south is Italy, north is Germany, west is Belgium, and they got all different countries all around. They're on the top of the mountain, so they got to talk to all these guys all over the place. So I have a couple minutes left. Let's see. So Das Goswami was showered with the compassion of Mahaprabhu. I said actually still thing. He was first a witness to all the unique ecstatic pastimes and love of God in Gambhira Lila. He saw that Lord Chaitanya would cry in separation from Krishna. This is very interesting. Verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because Krishnadas Kaviraj, he lived in Brajmandal at Shamakund. And he wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita in Shamakund. So he's influenced by North India. So the book is Bengali, which is really like Sanskrit. There's verses in Antilila where Lord Chaitanya is praying in Hindi. It's Hindi mixed into Bengali. He was Kaha. He says Krishna Kahan. Kahan is pure Hindi. Because in other parts in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, early Leela, he's saying Kotai. Kotai go bring my. Kotai means where. And then when Lord Chaitanya is praying Gambhira Leela, the prayers are Hindi. Kahan. Kahan Sham. Kahan Krishna. Where are you, Krishna? It's very funny. The way to that point is that way. So you get affected by your local language, you know. Ka Koro Ka Pa Brajendanan Ka Mor Prana Murli Vada Kari Koiva Ke Vajane Mora Duka Brajendanana Vina Fate Mora Buka. Where shall I go? What shall I do to get Brajendanandan? This is Radharani's Vira separation. Where is the flute playing Lord of my life? Prana, Murli Vadan Prananath. Whom shall I tell? Who will know? Who can understand my distress? Without Brajendananda, my heart is breaking. Das Goswami was always immersed in this ocean, vast ocean of Vipralamba Bhav, love and separation, because he stayed 16 years with Gauranga in Puri. So, Lord, Gauranga mercifully infused some of his great loving ecstasy in Das Goswami. So a little more of the purport will continue tomorrow. Jai Jai Shri